Hello, I'm Miranda Kahn, and welcome back to The Hardline. Recent waves of protests prompt concerns about what could be one of the biggest tests in security this year. From Baton Rouge to Philadelphia and Atlanta, the protest over law enforcement and black lives continues.
We were seeing a different kind of activists and people unaffiliated with community organizations that we are aware of. And this has caused a concern for us.
Adding more fuel to the fire,
this is one of the most important jobs that we have.
The Republican National Convention is just days away.
We are not too divided to deal with the challenging issues of our day.
Right now, the convention is expected to draw around 50,000 people, and what's already been described as heated, due in part to the Never Trump movement and what we've already seen at some of Donald Trump's rallies.
Chill. You ain't got to grab him like that.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Sources say nearly 5,000 officers will be on hand, many equipped with special gear and training to provide security the week of the convention.
We are prepared. We are ready.
And that was Cleveland's police chief back at the end of May. A lot has changed, obviously, since then, including a recent lawsuit that forced officials in that city to expand their route for protesters. The route now ends near the convention. Also, the city last week upped its liability coverage from $10 million to $50 million under a special insurance policy. Ed, back to you.
All right, Miranda, thanks so much. Now, for months, we've been discussing the warning signs about both the Republican and Democratic national conventions. And in the wake of civilian deaths in Minneapolis and Baton Rouge, then the sniper attack in Dallas that killed 5 members of law enforcement, cops in Cleveland are responding with what some are believing will be an unprecedented police presence in both Cleveland and Philadelphia, starting next week in Ohio, where once it was thought foreign players would be the ones seeking to change the narrative with explosive and guns. Authorities in both cities and other major regions of America are on a heightened alert not seen since the days of 9/11. And it makes one wonder what effect it will have on the process of choosing the people who of which one will become your next president. Your phone calls are demanded, desired as always. Line up right now, 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Smack dab in the heart of it all, prepping for next week in Cleveland. Let us learn more about the preparations as Republicans get ready for the ascension of Donald Trump, or at least most of them do, with the Newsmax chief Washington correspondent, John Gizzi. John, good to see you, my friend. You are right in the heart of where everything will be happening for the next 2 weeks. So let me ask, you feel safe in Cleveland?
Yes, I do. First, I was at the convention center at 7 a.m. this morning to get my credentials to cover the platform committee. I noticed that wherever I went in the center, police were looking at my credentials. And here they are right now. You do not go anywhere without these, and or you're going to be stopped. It's that simple. The other thing is that it is true that there is a very noticeable police presence here in Cleveland, particularly around the convention hall. You really cannot go around a corner without seeing a man or woman in blue. So I do feel pretty safe around here. I mean, it's a little unusual to see this kind of police presence. I certainly didn't see it covering the nomination process, but I'm seeing it now. I'm safe.
Well, there it is. It's that unusual moment, if you will, because with all this police presence and all this security, I have to believe it's going to have some sort of an emotional effect, some sort of visceral effect, if you will, on the candidates, on the people that are there, on the delegates, people that are coming into Cleveland. And I mean, and you've been around and seen a lot of these conventions. I've got to believe this will have some sort of an effect on everybody when they see this and have to be in the middle of it.
Well, so far, there was enough to keep them occupied, which was crafting some of the key language in the party platform. This is including their dealings with the controversial and very sensitive issue of illegal immigration, addressing the Internal Revenue Service, and maintaining the party's strong commitment to the right to life. Now, when you're focused on that and working out the commas, the periods, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, you tend to put what's going on outside the convention hall out of your mind. I might add that so far there have been no demonstrations, no protests, but we're all waiting to see.
Well, let's talk about that platform, if you will, because the main thing that a lot of people are talking about this week in Cleveland to look for is, can the never-Trump forces free the delegates? This is their last stand to do anything here. Do you think that they pretty much are out of options at this point, that this is going to go down in flames?
All right, Ed, this will come up Thursday and Friday with the Rules Committee. The platform being the party manifesto, what it will campaign on. The party rules will determine precisely what you're talking about. And that is that if they can get what's called the conscience clause passed in the Rules Committee, it will then go to the full floor of the convention the following week for a debate that's surely to be intense and an up and down vote. Do I think they have the votes to do it? To free delegates from their legal commitment in the primary or their instructions from state parties to vote for a particular candidate? No, I don't. It's been talked about for a long time. It came up at Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan showdown in Kansas City 40 years ago, but it just doesn't happen. That would violate a long-standing Republican principle, which is that the laws and the rules of the individual state must be obeyed.
All right, the platform itself. Usually this is a document that doesn't have a whole lot of teeth, but we are hearing a lot right now that Donald Trump is changing his mind. He's waffling a little bit on some of the positions that people absolutely want in a Republican conservative platform. Do you see that as being, if there is going to be a battle here then in creating that platform, because Donald Trump will say, I'm in charge, shut up and listen to me, while others will be saying, no, you're not really in charge. You still have to do what the conservatives and the Republicans in this party want. You got to listen to us. That's fireworks, my friend.
Well, it certainly is fireworks, but sometimes when there's going to be fire, you need a doctor in the house, and that is Dr. John Barrasso, or I should say U.S. Senator John Barrasso, who also happens to be an MD. He's chairman of the Platform Committee, which has 2 representatives from every state and territory. And so far, he has been able to bring together people. I watched the Government Reform Committee cobble together a very strong platform on illegal immigration, but also including measures such as calling for the impeachment of the head of the IRS, John Koski.
Let me ask you this, John. I only got a couple of minutes left, but I want to ask everything you're talking about right here. Your experience, based on what you've seen over the years, Trump versus the RNC, who do you think will bend first?
Well, I have a funny feeling they may just bow to one another, almost like ballroom dancers. The RNC is pretty much crafting the platform, but with respect to some of Mr. Trump's views. For example, restoring the Glass-Steagall Act, which bars the banking industry from getting into commercial real estate. There was always a belief from people, including Bernie Sanders, this caused the Wall Street crisis of 2008. In addition, Donald Trump is going to definitely soften and change the language of the platform on trade, but not enough so that free traders are going to walk away mad. So I have a funny feeling it's going to be eyeball to eyeball linked together.
All right, I got about 30, 40 seconds left here. I'm looking at a report right now in the Washington Times. Mike Pence has, quote unquote, 95% chance of being Donald Trump's VP pick. You fall in with that 95%?
I do agree with it at this point, and this is what the delegates were talking about in between committee hearings today. It's the Hoosier.
Would you think that Newt Gingrich is still in there pushing right now as we speak?
I'm going to soundbite it for you, Ed. If Mike Pence is not named by the time Donald Trump leaves Indiana, there's a pretty good bet he's going to stay where he is and run for re-election. I'll almost certainly turn to Newt Gingrich, or should I say Donald Trump will turn to him and the party will give its blessings, because here he wants this to the point of salivating over it. Mike Pence is playing cool, calm, and collected.
There you go. The salivating part is exactly what we wanted to hear. John, always a pleasure, my friend. Enjoy Cleveland. We'll talk to you again later this week. Matter of fact, most of the week, you're the man there in Ohio. Rock on, true believers. Good night and good luck.